It's the Growler with PD&Jay. Here to analyze for you today. From GrowlerBet to Jay's got stats. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Growler Podcast.
All right. Welcome to the latest edition of PD&Jay here on the Growler. Paul Jr. Jr., Jay Morrison here with you on an off day on Tuesday. Back to our normal set, the home setup, you know, comfortable chairs, nothing against our stools that we have and our setup in the media room. But I got to say, a little more comfortable to start speaking philosophically when I'm in the home chair.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little more comfortable. We'll be sitting in the air conditioning instead of baking outside. I know we're in the air conditioning for the pods after practice, but we'll be inside. I will be inside all day today, not spending 2 hours out in the heat.
My daughter Rosie had made me a picture. Oh, there's some new artwork behind us. They've been working
awesome.
very, very diligently on new artwork for the wall and for me. But it was literally a picture of her in a pool where she's going to at her like swim camp every day this week, and me sweating at work. And she's like, "You're sweating, I'm swimming," and it's just her having fun, eating snacks, holding ice cream, and then a picture of me just dying of sweat. And I'm like, it's actually a pretty accurate representation.
A little mean, but yeah, accurate.
A little mean, but you know what? I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We have a lot to get to here today. Excited about it. We're gonna touch on some news. We're gonna give you a Trey Hendrickson update, a Noah Fant update. I have a story up now on Zack Moss. There's been a lot of questions about what's going on with Zack Moss. He had this neck injury. He's around. He's on NFI. There's kind of this weird aura of secrecy almost around Zack Moss. Well, I was able to speak to him late last week, and that story is up on The Athletic right now. I dive into. I'm going to bring you some of that conversation, talk a little bit more about Zack Moss's situation at running back. We have a new segment. I'm excited. It's the Camargo Insurance Run Passer Boot. We are amping up Run Passer Boot to new levels thanks to our guy Josh at Camargo Insurance, who's going to be the judge and jury of all things RPB. I'm very excited about this. So we're going to get into that in a little bit in the first question. We'll kick off. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to do what so many of our good friends do here. Give back to you. And I'm excited about that. All right. Mo's going to join us. We're going to have some takeaways. He's been at camp under a tent. And so we're going to talk about what he's been seeing and some of the things that matter for 2025. Jay's going to have stats. We're going to have ARBIES. The Growler Bet will return. I'm excited about the Growler Bet returning, and I'm trying to make something happen, Jay. I'm trying to coin a new phrase.
Okay.
And so we're going to push a little harder on that here today. Before we do any of that, though, I got to remind you about our good friends at BetMGM. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you know you should have. How have you not done this yet? Use your bonus code Growler, and you will end up getting a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager. Download the BetMGM app, sign up using the bonus code Growler in all caps, deposit at least $10, and place your first wager on any game. You will receive that same bet amount, up to $1,500 in a bonus bet. If your bet loses, you just make sure you have the bonus code Growler when you sign up, and they'll cover you. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code Growler. Get your $1,500 first bet offer today. So excited to be our exclusive live show home again this year. The kickoff show is in the works. Love the kickoff show. One of my favorite nights of the year down there at BetMGM, and our new partner down there, Tom's Watch Bar, who has taken over the restaurant space, which I'm excited about. More on that coming very soon. All right. For now, though, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the news. And in the news, you know what's always in the news a little bit? It's just, we can't really avoid it. You know what it is.
Like sand through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
The Treys of our lives are still going on. As we always are getting updates, and I'm going to leave the graphic up there just for a second so we can look at how just weird it is. Treys of our lives still going on. We had a little bit of an update from Adam Schefter talking yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, and which is where like 90% of Trey Hendrickson updates come from now. And that is the money is essentially agreed upon. The average annual value is essentially agreed upon. The length sounds like it's agreed upon. It sounds like a 3-year deal. Sounds like he's going to get paid a lot of money in AAV. But as you might have imagined, as we kind of anticipated in the very beginning, the sticking point is how much of said money is guaranteed. We knew this would be a sticking point because this is it. This is age and risk and Bengals' propensity not to give guaranteed money all into the one part of the conversation. Can they find the compromise there? That kind of those specifics have sort of come out now. And so the waiting game of where that guaranteed number ends up somewhere in the middle is what's keeping him back in Florida still.
Yeah. And I mean, both sides, we know that the Bengals rarely blink, and seems like Trey is dug in. He knows what he wants in terms of guaranteed more than year one. That sounds good with the framework's in place. I still don't see this ending anytime soon.
No. And you know what? I mean, we've talked a little bit about this is how it feels like we know how this is going to end, where it's going to be in that week or two before the deadline of these deals always seems to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Will he play? Won't he? Will he report? Is he willing to miss a game? How close are they? It'll just get louder as it gets closer to week one. It feels like to me that's where this ends up. I still think when you have now so many pieces of it sort of agreed upon and in place, and I know the guarantee is kind of the big kahuna here, the big chalupa. I don't know. It's the thing. It's the main core of it. But I am saying that gets worked out, right? Like if you have so many of these other elements in place, it's just a matter of finding that spot in the middle of the guaranteed money that makes everybody happy and they show up. I feel like that's kind of where it is. I'm going to hit fast forward on the Bengals Growler bet right now. Normally we save these for the end, but this is the topic. Bengals Growler bet, which can be redeemed at one of our live shows. You can come down and get a gift card down at one of our live shows. Bengals Growler bet, send it in the growlerpodcast@gmail.com with your answer. When do we get the Trey Hendrickson? I'm going to call it's the wall pick. I'm trying to make wall pick a thing.
Yeah.
It's the signing in front of the Bengals Paul Brown wall that you see, the smile and the sign. I've been talking about it. Trey Hendrickson extension wall pick. The date that happens. Send that in the growlerpodcast@gmail.com and you can win a gift card at one of our live shows. Jay, what do you think?
I'm going to go August 29th, the day after the preseason finale against Indianapolis.
You're going August 29th?
Yep.
I mean, that certainly feels like when we start to get into it. You have the first game, you're right there on the back end. That weekend, Labor Day. How about Labor Day?
That works
September
too,
1st.
Because it does feel like, Trey can show up anytime and be ready to go. But I think he's going to want to have that week leading up to the opener. And they will work out on Labor Day. Maybe that morning and then he just goes straight to practice, or maybe they get it out of the way after. Maybe he's in a suite for the opener against the Colts, and then he comes in the next morning and signs, takes the rest of the Labor Day weekend off and reports Monday. But that feels about where it's gonna be. Maybe Shamar Stewart has multiple sacks, breaks how many he had last year, any year in college. That could put a little more pressure on Trey if Shamar just starts balling out in the preseason. But seriously, I think it's going to be like Jesse Bates. It was a different thing. We're signing the tag versus signing an extension, but I don't think either team feels the urgency right now. It's different with Shamar. Had to get on the field. Not so much with Trey. They feel like he can show up anytime and play, and there's going to be a little bit of haggling, maybe a little bit of a dead space where they don't feel like they have to negotiate as much. And Labor Day weekend right around there feels perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying 9-1. We tiebreaker in case a lot of people have the same date. How about color of Trey Hendrickson's shirt? We decided on. Is that where we landed?
I was just
Shirt in the wall pick is going to be the tiebreaker in case we have multiple with the same date. I like that. I want to talk about Zack Moss. So basically, what you've heard maybe about Zack Moss is that he hurt his neck last year. He signed a restructure this offseason that took his base pay from 3.5. He cut it in half down to 1.18. It gave him about $375K extra guaranteed on that, which was kind of a weird deal at the time. This guy with this injury is getting more guaranteed, but it's a pay cut. It was kind of an odd thing. Shows up NFI list, which is always antennas up when the NFI list shows up. It's because it's due to his neck. His heel, was cleared months ago for a neck. Had broken in 3 places in his C6 last year, and kind of trying to. This sport is so brutal, physically, mentally, and having to decide if you want to keep playing. And he had a neck injury where he couldn't train because the doctor's orders are like, don't train. You need to be still. He called himself had to be a couch potato, essentially. And now you're at this point where you have to play football. You have to decide if you want to play football. He's married, his wife, Jess. They have 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old back in Utah right now. And, he's earned $9+ million in his career. He's done very well for himself. But at what point do you say, is it worth it anymore coming off a neck injury and all of this stuff? I talked to him. He really opened up, and I appreciate him, and I'm thankful for him to do that with me about this process and kind of the scary nature of it last year and where he's going. I cut it down to about 3.5 minutes here from the Zack Moss conversation that I had with him late last week. You can read so much more about it up on The Athletic right now, but here's my conversation with Zack Moss.
No one knew it was broken. So that's when Friday before the Raiders game, it stunned everybody. I didn't know it was broken. I know when I took a hit that it could have done it, and we traced it back to week 1 versus the Patriots. But every week after that, we never had any tell outside of my neck just being really sore. And that's the thing that people don't know. I haven't really spoken about it because I really don't care too much. But yeah, the team didn't know. I didn't know that it was broken. So that's the part where I say, so many different variables. If I knew my neck was broken week 1, I probably wouldn't play.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you just thought it was sore over the course of the season, but nothing showed up necessarily.
Nothing showed up until I started losing feeling in my arm. Going into Philadelphia week.
Yeah.
Coming out of that game, pretty much played that game 7 fingers. I couldn't feel 3 of them.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, come out of that game, go into the Raiders week. I notified the team, let them know about the filling. We got some scans. MRI didn't show much. MRI is more, tendon and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So that didn't show much besides inflammation in some of the nerves, which we thought maybe that could have been the reason. Didn't do an X-ray because we didn't believe it was broken.
Yeah.
Then the next thing we did after MRI was get a CT scan. CT scan. We just did the CT scan just to, just cover all the bases.
Sure.
CT scan comes back Friday that my neck is broken in 3 different places in my C6. So, yeah, you can imagine that and the trip that I've been going on with that.
Zach Taylor was on just conditioning. Is that kind of how you're viewing right now? Is just
well, that's what we've agreed on. Right now, I'm just working on conditioning and getting stronger, and because I haven't been able to train with this thing. I've been pretty much a couch potato since November.
Really?
Yeah. So figuring that out, and now I'm just trying to see where I'm at and go from there.
Is that kind of what they told you about this injury? Is you kind of need to be a couch potato? Like you can't be out here really doing anything. Like that's part of the deal.
For 8 weeks.
You're in a neck brace for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just at home.
Just home, 2 kids.
That had to have been hard, having to leave to come back out here. A little different than it is other times.
Yeah, it's the first time my wife hasn't done training camp with me.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're in a phase of our life where, other things take priority right now, and she's doing a great job with that, and I'm doing my job the best of my ability right now, and hopefully things work out and get them out here and go from there.
So you still want to play though? Like you're here because you want to play football. Like you're not trying to be done with this thing at all, right?
No, if I wanted to be done, like I told Coach Taylor, if I wanted to be done, I could have just stayed at home and not left my wife with 2 kids by herself. I could have just made that call or whatever and called it a day. So like I said, my intention is to be here, to do what I need to do rehab-wise, and then kind of, go from there.
So there's a little bit of Zack Moss, and you hear him talking about, I wouldn't leave my wife and 2 kids back in Utah if I didn't still want to play. To me, the question, though, is can he still play? When you're trying to overcome the physical and mental toll of he talked about this. I didn't do a great job at the top explaining the background of last year, but his neck was kind of sore all year. He never really complained about it or had any issue or brought it to the attention of anyone. Just, he's a tough guy. He's a tough guy, running back, neck sore, everybody's sore, right? Just go through it. And then come to find out, he kind of views it as how scary it was that for 8 weeks, he felt like he was playing with that broken neck or a version of it. And so how do you then go back out there and step into the A gap and pick up a blitz? How do you run downhill at the goal line when you know that, even if it is healed, right? That's, to me, there's a real challenge there mentally. And I think you can kind of feel Zack going through that a little bit.
Yeah. And you point out in your story too, that that wasn't the first time he played with a broken bone. He played with a broken arm when he was in Indy. He is a guy that can play through pain and deal with that. You almost wonder, I think you can stay on NFI for 12 weeks and then a decision has to be made to activate you and the window opens to be active. So maybe that is the path to just kind of have, they drafted Tahj Brooks, P. Ryan's back. It's not like they have to get him out there right away. I know he wants to play, but it does feel like they have some time. And maybe it's time to let him heal. And maybe it's time for him once the season starts to evaluate further. I know he says right now he wants to keep playing, but maybe that does change as it gets deeper in the season. And you also, when you buy that time, maybe there's an injury, maybe something happens to one of the running backs and it becomes more urgent and they're able to bring him off of NFI and get him in there. But I don't know. It's one thing to play through pain. It's one thing to know that there's something. It's not necessarily pain. It's just almost like a ticking time bomb where one hit could affect the quality of the rest of your life. That's a heavy load to deal with.
Yeah, and it's a lot heavier load to deal with when you have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old at home. I just feel like the perspective is so much different. But so for right now, Zack Moss on NFI and working on conditioning, like he said, I mean, he was not overweight. It's just you haven't trained at all to be in the NFL by virtue of what you were going through. There's a lot of conditioning to be had. So I think everybody's kind of waiting and see where he's at physically and then mentally with all of this by the time they get to final cuts, essentially, and then decision, like he keeps saying, then decisions can be made by the people that make those decisions. Okay, let's do this. Let's switch over, and it's time for our new segment, which I'm super pumped about. It's time for the Camargo Insurance Run Passer Boot. I love this. I love this drawing of our guy. This is Josh. This is Josh, our guy from Camargo Insurance, who, we talked about it, met up with him. And he's like, a long time Growl pal, been listening for a decade, way back to the old days, the HTPG and earlier days, and loves the podcast, loves kind of the stuff that we're doing here, all about the community that we kind of talk about, and was like, loved Run Passer Boot and the idea of us building this up. And so we came up with this. This is the judge and jury of all Run Passer Boot questions. You're going to send your questions to Josh at CamargoInsurance.com if your run, pass, or boot questions. And he will choose from the best of them every single week and bring them up here for us. And we'll answer them here for you and all that stuff. A normal run, pass, or boot there. But there's a little extra because look, Josh has been around forever. He loves run, pass, or boot, but it's more than that. When you work with Josh at Camargo on your insurance, they're going to be giving you the true concierge experience. No fluff or run around, just real one-on-one help. He's someone who gets it. He works with the best carriers in the industry. He can find the perfect coverage for your home, auto, and business and life insurance. What really sets him apart, though, is his mission to empower you to live your best life with confidence. Know that your coverage actually makes sense. Everybody needs insurance. You just don't think about it, whatever. You just want it to be with someone you trust. You know who we trust? Growl pals, dads. Dad, he's got a young family. He a great dude. And so this is the type of person you should be turning to. And also, it's not just that. He's like, I want to give gifts. I want to give to the Growl pals. I'm here to give to the Growl pals. So guess what? Make it a little more fun. You're going to give away 2 tickets to the Bengals-Ravens game. All you got to do is request a free, no obligation quote. No policy purchase necessary, nothing. Just get the quote. It's a chance to win seats to Bengals-Ravens. Make sure your coverage actually makes sense. There's a link to enter in the show notes and at our QR code down over there if you're watching on YouTube. Bengals-Ravens tickets can be yours. Just look, go to the link, and if you have an RPB question, make sure you do it to Josh at CamargoInsurance.com, and he will pick the best of the group. Just giving back to the Growl Pal community. That's what I love.
Yeah, this is a great idea. And who doesn't like prizes? Everybody likes run, pass, or boot. Everybody likes prizes. Are we going to go right into it here with the first one?
Let's do it. All right.
Yeah.
So the first submission in the RPB from Josh is, what concern is the biggest risk to the team's success? Okay. Interior offensive line, pass rush, or secondary? Where you at? Where you stand on this?
I'm going to run with interior offensive line. I feel, other than a just huge rash of injuries, that's the only thing that can derail this offense. And yeah, you want the defense to be better. The defense was the reason they didn't make the playoffs last year, but the offense also started really slow. If you get Joe Burrow in this offense, what we saw the second half of last season for the entire season, I don't know what could go wrong on defense. I mean, yeah, you may not be playing for a top seed, but it feels like that this offense is good enough to get them to the playoffs. If the interior of the O-line is not what it needs to be, because that's, Joe Burrow doesn't want the pressure up the middle. That's where he struggles more so than coming off the edge. It just feels like that's the one thing that could really blow up this team's hopes. I'll pass on defensive line, just because there's more question marks there. I'll boot the secondary. I'm kind of with Al Golden on this, that hope is not a plan. We know all that, but it feels like there's real talent there, and he's known for getting it out of them. And they've got, if a guy, maybe 2 backslides a little bit, you still have what's shaping up to be pretty good depth there. And young guys, Josh Newton 5th round, DJ Ivy 7th round, those guys are playing above their draft spots right now in training camp. You like the hope that you have. So I don't see the secondary being the problem that would derail this team. I think it would be the pass rush, but overall, interior offensive line, and there's already questions with Lucas Patrick missing time now, so that's the one I think is the most likely to turn this season upside down.
Will Hernandez announcing he's officially cleared and available. Brandon Sheriff's still out there. That situation, obviously, he's still out there for a reason. So whatever that reason is, we'll find out. But there are options out there to shore it up. But I'm with you. I mean, I can't. I'm neck and neck with the interior offensive line and the pass rush, because I think you can talk yourself into each one being a fatal flaw. But there's so much unproven with whatever's going to happen with Dylan Fairchild. Cody Ford, fine, right? Like you'd like him to be your 6. We've kind of talked about that rather than be a starter, but the team likes him. And so I guess you trust that. I think interior offensive line, it has a little more question. At least on the defensive line, you do have a couple of first-round picks and the runner-up for defensive player of the year under the assumption that Henderson gets here. So at least you have that, and you hope that can help things out a little bit. And yeah, they're banking on this secondary, but there's less questions back there. There are questions, but there's less than there is in the trenches right now, which is why these padded practices are so important. You know who has been at these padded practices? Mo Egger's been there.
Kinda.
And there he is. You've been there. I have proof. I liked you have a good setup. There's a tent. There's chairs. You guys look engaged. I'm into it.
Well, the padded practice, we've only had one, and midway through, everybody ran to the bubble, and we were told to leave. So we got through a half a padded practice, and we were told to leave because everybody was told to leave because of lightning and thunder. It wasn't like, we weren't like the guy that Jay wrote about who was cursing people out. We weren't told, hey, you got to go because you're doing the wrong thing. We were told because the weather is awful and you may die, that you got to go. So I've been there for one padded practice and 3 other non-padded practices. It's been fun. I've always wanted to do it out there. It's been a good time. Bengals have been great to us, and I think the shows they've been fun for us. I'm not sure if they've been good, but they've been fun for us.
Mo, do you like winning tickets to things?
I do.
Do you enjoy free stuff?
Of course. I work in radio.
How great are people that come in and are like, I want to give free stuff to your listeners like that? Those people are just the best.
We like those folks. Yes,
we like those folks. So shout out again to Josh at Camargo Insurance. Go win your Bengals Ravens tickets. Giveaway forms in the QR code, the show notes. No obligation, quote, policy purchase necessary. Just go see Burrow Lamar. That's all you got to do. And maybe get some insurance that works for you. All the better. All right, Mo, I wanted to talk to you about you've been down there. You've been doing the shows. You've been taking it all in. Let's talk one major takeaway from the first week that is standing out to you that would affect the 2025 season. Not like, I really love what this means for 2028, or something that maybe you're taking away that's making you rethink some things.
Well, in day 1 and day 2, I never saw any one of Des Ritter's passes hit the ground, but I guess that's not what you're looking for.
No, I'm here for whatever you want to bring to the table.
So this sounds obvious, and to a degree it is, but on day 1 of training camp and day 2 of training camp and day 3 of training camp, I watched Joe Burrow throw passes to Jamar Chase, which, if you remember where we were a year ago, is not what we were watching, or it's not what you guys were watching. That's not insignificant. Look, we started the first show on day 1 of camp, Tony and I. We acknowledged that the Shamar Stewart thing to that point did not have a resolution. We acknowledged that the Trey Hendrickson issue looms over everything until there's until it's over, until there's a resolution with that. But the thing that trumps everything else is Joe Burrow just went through. We talk about it every year in normal training camp. Now, knock on wood, hopefully he gets through training camp in the preseason without any major issue. But we started camp this year not talking about him coming off wrist surgery, not talking about him coming off the surgeon's table because he had an appendectomy, not talking about a calf, not talking about a knee, not discussing anything other than what can he do for an encore after last season. And now he's throwing to Jamar and throwing to T. And so we have talked so much about got to avoid the 0-2 start, got to go to Cleveland week 1. Look, man, the major reason why they've been so bad in recent years in openers has been the play of the quarterback. Whether it was 6 turnovers against Pittsburgh, him looking uncomfortable in the rain against Cleveland, or whatever that was last year against the Patriots. And he didn't have Jamar Chase all throughout training camp. And that to me at least, that contributed to their struggles in the first game. So if I get 6 weeks of these guys, the guys who matter the most, the core of the team, the foundation of this team, practicing together, working together, being on the field together, playing a little bit in preseason games together, this team should hit the ground running no matter what else happens. And so to me, I know it's obvious. I know it's not, I'm not parsing through the bottom end of the depth chart at any one position. We haven't even started to handicap who's in the running for the Mo Egger Award. I've talked a lot about what I watched from Jermaine Burton and Paul, I know you did too. But to me, the biggest takeaway was I watched Joe Burrow and didn't really have to think about it, and he was throwing passes to the best wide receiver in football. How that's not the biggest takeaway from the first few days, I have no idea.
Burrow, Chase being together, that's what's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this feel so different from anywhere this team has been in years at this time of year. Is they're out there, they're working together, and you don't have to deal with any of that stuff. When we talk about, we love talking about what's different this year from last year, right? Like it's what we just always do that this time of year. What's different from not just last year, but the year before, the year before that, is that. And so you're right. I think when you start in terms of what's going to truly affect this season and the fast start, everybody, I always love, we get, this is the time of year where every national person comes through and you hear them talking with them or their producers. Okay, we're gonna talk about Burrow. We're gonna talk about them needing to get off to a fast start. It's like it's the same, because it is the most obvious number one thing. It's like that's what it is, but that's why they should. That's why they should. If they can keep that group just ready to go, working together, playing in preseason games to get some of the game jitters out, and everybody comes out of that okay, you love where they're at. And I think that's what matters most, because they can get you through that early portion while your defense is figuring things out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I was just listening to you guys talk about the secondary versus the defensive line versus the interior of the offensive line. There's a really good chance that in game one, if not two, if not three of those areas aren't going to be where they want them. What can be where they want them? 9, 1, and 5. So, they didn't have that last year in game one. They lost that game against the Patriots for a lot of different reasons, but primarily Joe was uncomfortable and Joe and Jamar just didn't completely look like they were in sync. The offense could not have been more clunky in the opener 2 years ago. So, yeah, we all expect growing pains in the secondary with all those guys back there. We expect some growing pains on the defensive line. And I think we expect some growing pains with Dylan Fairchild and it to not look like we want it to look eventually early in the season on the interior of that offensive line. But what can hit the ground running? That trio of guys who have been practicing all summer. So that to me was the biggest takeaway. And to me, like we talked about it because I think coming into camp, we had spent so much time on Shamar Stewart, understandably so, and so much time on Trey Hendrickson, understandably so, that you kind of forgot, like, there's other parts of this football team that we have to talk about, and this really important component is different than it was a year ago, and that's worth dwelling on. And then when you saw it in front of you, it was impossible to not discuss.
One thing I was going to say is, my takeaway, and I'm curious your thoughts on it, because we talk a lot about in our training camp recaps about not taking the bait on the defense and the offense struggling early in camp. It happens a lot. I just think the fact that the defense isn't total trash right now is like a major takeaway. They're having lots of moments. They're winning in red zone. They're winning in low red. They won on day one. Like, I just think I'm seeing more good out of the defense at this point in camp than I would have anticipated through 5 practices. And I think that is to me a major takeaway. It delivers a little bit of hope in what Al Golden's doing. I mean, they're playing fast. Like they may make mistakes. You still see how DJ Turner's still having trouble locating the ball, or Cam Taylor-Britt has a lapse, or you're still not seeing maybe enough pass rush from Miles or whoever. Like you're picking those things, but they look to be playing fast. They look to be playing confidently. They have some energy to them. They have these big celebrations and they get the momentum from that. Like that, I didn't know that we were going to see that in the first 5 days. And that's kind of a takeaway for me.
And Shamar Stewart showed up pretty early. And by your guys' account, in the first padded practice, made an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something that on Friday morning, I think most of us were anticipating, right? Like,
no,
you certainly wish, well, the fan in me wishes that, we wouldn't have had to go through this all summer long, and he would have been there full participant in minicamp and day one of training camp. But, relative to what everybody's fears were, like a defense that's had a pretty good camp so far, just got the 17th overall pick back. And it seems like he showed up and made an impact almost instantly. Tony and I were talking about this before the wind nearly blew our 10 away yesterday, that the reports on Sunday were about how good the defense was in red zone. And when you think of, those good Lou Anarumo defenses, what was it? It was, we'll give up yards but not points. We'll bend, we won't break. We'll stiffen up in the red zone. And my very sort of stupid, basic way of looking at it was, that's a good place to start, right? If you have to be good at one thing immediately, how about be good inside the 20 and make other teams settle for field goals, and then put them at the mercy of Joe and Jamar and T and all those guys. So, yeah, I thought it was striking when Joe talked as effusively as he did about the defense. And I also think, like, he's expressing frustration with the day his unit had. But I also think it's kind of cool for that unit, the defensive side, that there's so much skepticism and intrigue and, some doubt. Here's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, as the kids say, giving the defense its flowers. That can't be anything but a good thing. So, yeah, you're not hearing, you guys are watching more critically than we are, and you guys were there on Sunday, and you guys were in the bubble once they moved inside. I have yet to see or hear, God, this position group on defense is getting cooked, or this guy on defense who they're counting on looks like he can't help. You're not hearing any of that, and that's a positive.
I think, and maybe it's one of my biggest takeaways is I think it's by design. And there was something interesting that Al Golden said at the Mock Turtle Soup, and we didn't really get into a lot of what the coordinators said that day, but he talked about how closely he and Dan Pitcher work on the practice scripts, and what look do I want to get from you here? What do you want to give me here? And it is planned out to some degree. He said, you don't want to just have it all scripted. You want to be uncomfortable at times. You want to get the offense wants to get blitz when they don't know it's coming and that type of thing. But it feels like early in camp, it's been more of the defense knows what the offense is doing. You don't see a ton of it, but we do see Burrow audible in camp, and he hasn't done that a lot. He's killed a couple plays and switched, but pretty much they're sticking with the original call. And I think it's kind of by design to make the defense comfortable early in camp, and so they can play faster and not think about things. They're lined up where they need to be. It's not everybody screaming, pointing, moving them around. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Anything that can give this defense, which was just, obviously there's a chip on their shoulder after last year, knowing they were the cause that they fell short. Anything that can give them a little extra energy, a little extra juice, a little extra confidence is a good thing. And maybe as camp develops, we start seeing more of Joe going to audibles and picking them apart a little bit more. But I do think this is by design to try to give that group some confidence. And you are seeing athletic plays on the ball within the scope of the defense as well. So I think that is a smart way to go about it if that is what they are actually trying to do.
I like it. Mo, can I get your opinion on one thing before we leave?
Yeah, can I just bring up one thing about Al Golden, though, real quick?
Yeah.
We give an award on our training camp show. We give the Camper of the Day award and the Loser of the Day award, and we also give the award for the person who's out on the field first. Al Golden is kind of playing to that stereotype of like hardcore football coach who's out on the field first doing laps. He's out there like when we're setting up. Know, so do what you want with that information. Now, he was beaten by Troy Walters yesterday, so he got the Show Up Early award. Jermaine Burton has won the Camper of the Day award. Evan McPherson has won the Camper of the Day award. Des Ritter has won the Camper of the Day award. We gave the Camper of the Day award yesterday to the folks who kind of handled the fans leaving the stadium yesterday, because that was done in a really orderly fashion. We've given out some Loser of the Day awards. One, Jay, you wrote about the fan who got kicked out. We talked extensively about him. But Al Golden, first to show up 3 times, and I figured, Your audience would like to know that.
My daughter is currently at sleepaway camp this
Okay.
week,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that at their nightly campfire they don't give away the loser of the day award at their camp. That'd be kind of tough.
The
tough
loser of the
scene.
day award, anybody who's there can be the loser of the day. It's not just player personnel. There was a media member who got loser of the day award last week. So
we need to know.
Who was it?
It was Jeremy Rao.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What did Jeremy do?
Jeremy wore, this was more of a Tony thing, I'll admit, because I genuinely don't dwell on how people dress. But Tony was really upset that Jeremy was wearing black socks with those Hey Dude shoes.
Yeah.
And so Jeremy got loser of the day award. I wanted to give it to, and I couldn't tell which television staffer it was, but I wanted to give it to a television staffer yesterday who was making, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this, young lady who was also on the staff carrying all the equipment in the rain while he just sauntered over to the tent. But yeah, we saw some of that. But we honestly, we were just trying to stay alive outside, so we didn't do that.
So, I mean, you would think someone like Trags would have won loser of the day for his banana, but turns out he was the hero.
Yeah,
turns out he
100%.
was the camper of the day, as everyone's hero, including the fine people at Kroger who have started sending swag boxes to everybody in the media room for the uptick in banana shirt sales that have happened for the fine folks at Kroger. So good for them.
I think that's the kind of, like, let's role reverse here. If Jamar Chase ended up wearing that, you would have like dudes all over town wearing banana outfits. I thought Trags was trend setting, and guy likes his bananas.
Guy likes his bananas. Yeah. What else can you say? I thought, do we follow up where all of us have different fruit shirts? Like we pick our favorite fruits. I show up in apples.
Okay.
Maybe Skinny said he wanted to show up in all kumquats. And we just kind of
I don't even know what a kumquat looks like.
I don't either.
I don't know, but I hope they make a shirt with it. And so I just say, I feel like that's the next step next year. And maybe we're taking it too far, but I'm okay with it.
What else is there?
If Kroger wants to get involved, I'll wear whatever.
100%. Absolutely.
No question about it. The one thing, I'm sorry, we've kept you. I did want to get your opinion on one thing real quick.
Yeah.
And that was this being Jermaine Burton's beach towel that he has hanging off the back of him. I'm just like, I'm not sure. Do you think this is a hindrance? What do we think the purpose? What do we think the idea was when he's like, you know what? Give me the big beach towel and let me tuck it into my pants.
So we talked about this on the show yesterday, and we wondered, is that the sort of thing that slows you down? But superheroes wear capes, and they're not slowed down. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe
they also have superhuman abilities. I mean, they can fly.
It's true. I don't know. It couldn't. I mean, look, they all wear towels. They look like dish towels, right? I thought that was an interesting. I mean, you covered him last year when he did practice. When he did show up, was he wearing a towel? Was this a new look?
This is a new look. That's a new one for me. I had not seen that one before.
But again, that's the sort of thing, like if Jamar Chase does that, it's, oh man, look at this. It's trend setting. Jermaine Burton, it's trying a little bit too hard, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah,
but we did notice that yesterday, and I did wonder, like, it just looks uncomfortable.
It's like touching the back of his heels. I keep waiting for him to like stamp on it as he's trying to make a move or something. But hey, if that's the speed towel has grown, maybe it's a new school thing. I certainly know nothing about fashion or am trend setting.
No,
but
likewise, look at me.
Yeah, but so I'm here. If that's what you want to do, fine. But I've just never seen a towel that large tucked into football pants before.
It's like a parachute on a dragster. Like that, maybe he thinks he's so fast he needs something to slow him down once he gets up to top speed.
I love it.
I don't know.
I look for Mo to be wearing the towel in the back of your pants as I see you walking around the office when I come to do the show with you today, from 3 to 4 on ESPN 1530. I'm looking forward to that.
Likewise, it's going to be fun, and we have lots to talk about.
All right. Appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Yes, sir.
See you.
See you.
All right. Mo Egger, ESPN 1530. A lot of good stuff there. Jay, I wanted to get to, I know you have a takeaway that we didn't get to with Mo to drop in here. Where did you want to go with your takeaway out of that?
Another one I have, and it's not big picture. It is a little more drilled down, but a couple things. I think it's interesting that how much they paid Mike Gesicki, and that Joe Burrow has a tight end 2 years in a row. You know, he had CJ 2 years in a row, but there was the injury early on in Joe's rookie year that I think CJ only played 2 games. But Mike Gesicki's not super involved, but when he catches a pass, it's big. It's one of those big chunk ones up the seam, and I think it was kind of one of the things they found late in the year last year, where he really made some big plays and got some big chunks in the offense that way. So I've noticed that. The other one is just Tahj Brooks, the heavy workload. It's almost as though they know what they have in Chase Brown, even though they've kind of built this run game around him. He's comfortable. He knows the plays. He knows, you know, what works, where to go on which holes to hit, all that. And maybe it's partially just kind of getting Tahj Brooks up to speed, but he's getting reps with the 1s, the 2s, the 3s. He is in there a lot, getting a lot of touches, both runs and receptions. And maybe it too, it's just contingency where, you know, if something does happen to Chase, you need to have a guy, because I don't think P. Ryan's a guy that's going to step in there and be a lead back if something like that were to happen. And P. Ryan's not getting many reps at all, or at least he's not many touches at all. But Tahj Brooks has been really, really active. I think it's going to be fun to see him in the preseason when you can get out there and, you know, actually break tackles and you're not just, they're not just blowing the whistle as soon as someone gets in front of you. I did too. I looked up, I was like, well, what if this continues? What if he is really involved in this offense? And what is the record for most receptions by a Bengals rookie running back? Would you care to take a guess?
Receptions?
Yes.
You know what's funny? My mind goes to Gio, but I remember thinking at the time how silly it was they didn't use him more in the passing game when he was a rookie. It's not Gio, is it?
It is Gio.
It is Gio? Okay.
Yeah, 56 in 2013. That is actually the second most receptions by a running back of any age in Bengals history. Mixon had 60 in 2022. But, you know, Tahj Brooks could easily be top 5. Boobie Clark was second with 45. Stanford Jennings, 35. And Joe Mixon, 30 in 2017. So only 4 guys have had 30 catches or more in a year as a rookie. I think Tahj Brooks could be in line. That's what, 1.7 per game. I think that's attainable with what we're seeing the usage from him so far.
I just feel like right now he's the rookie that needs it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I think Chase Brown is going to be in the 75 to 80% of snaps range. I think that's kind of the idea. And P. Ryan's going to take up a portion of that. Now, if Tahj Brooks can be able to give a breather, you know, injuries happen, he becomes a way bigger part. They want him to be ready for that. I don't know. Like, I don't know how much of a role Tahj is gonna end up playing if Chase Brown stays healthy. But as we talked about with Zack Moss earlier in this, there is a bigger role open than you maybe would have anticipated. If they keep 3 backs, all 3 need to be able to do it. And Tahj is, you know, he's a day 3 pick. That's a rookie that needs to get it figured out in case they need him. And I think that's part of what this time of year is about. But injuries can happen. Injuries happen all the time to running backs. So yeah, he could, if he does get in the game, yeah, I think you see him catching a bunch of passes for sure. All right, let's keep it rolling here, and let's see. You've got some stats you've already dropped in. We did the Growler bet, so we've touched on a bunch. I did want to give a quick update on Noah Fant, which we'd been talking about. Skipped over that earlier. Noah visiting the Dolphins today. Essentially, he wanted to do a little tour and check out all the places, check out his options, take his time with it, and then decide after that. So he's gone to Cincinnati, to New Orleans, and checking in Miami now. And the Bengals are still in the mix, and I think hoping that they can make that happen. But he's going through his paces so he can make his decision once he's gotten the full view of all of his different options. I certainly think Miami is a better option than New Orleans. If you're just looking from a football perspective, money can change everything. In terms of, you're with Mike McDaniel, maybe Tua you're in a better quarterback situation than you are in New Orleans. Cincinnati, from a football perspective, hard to argue with what they could offer to you there. Of course, Miami, though, Jonnu Smith is gone now. They traded him away. They're trying to find ways to fill that in. So maybe they feel like they can offer a bigger role. Either way, keep an eye on it. Not over yet with Noah Fant. Let's see. Any other news do we touch on before we get into Arby's?
No, I think we've covered all the news. Been pretty quiet.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it is. It's mostly pretty quiet now. There's not a ton of stuff happening. We had the Lucas Patrick injury, which you mentioned earlier. He's, a week or so. He day-to-day was kind of the listing on that. Marco Wilson is out for a longer period of time with an injury. But the injuries have not been very notable to this point, just a few through the first week, which to come out of the ramp-up period, the first 5 days with just a couple of soft tissue things is a win. When you talk about how much you typically do see this time of year, teams, you see it across the league now. It's like every day is another ACL or something serious that happens. It's like, this is what happens this time of year as guys come in fresh off their off seasons and try to get ramped up. So the fact that that's all they have to this point was probably a win through the first 5 days.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is all the other injuries around the league. And then the thing, too, with Lucas Patrick, it's not a serious injury, but I think it's still a concern because we talked about the depth there. Do they go out and get another guard? He'll turn 32 tomorrow, and he's had stints on the IR 2 of the last 3 years. So age is catching up a little bit. And, he had the knee injury last year. He was still kind of coming back from that, where he was wearing that giant brace during OTAs and not participating fully. Now this is a different issue on the other leg. And I don't know. It's not the catastrophic things that you're seeing across the league with season ending, but I do think it is a bit of a red flag right now.
No doubt about it. Let's go Arby's time. Arby's, what do you got for me, Jay?
So something I saw this morning, Tycen Anderson posted a video. He bought his mom a house.
It's awesome.
And it's awesome. It's an awesome video. It's put to a song. I don't know the song. I'm not up on the new one. That's not my genre, but it's just really emotional. I mean, I was tearing up watching it. But I would like to say, I went back and looked through his timeline. He's not a heavy tweeter. And come on, Tycen. He posted that at midnight last night. Like, if you want maximum exposure on something like that, you gotta put it up. Maybe they finished it and he just wanted to get it up right away, but you need to put that out at 8, 9 in the morning, give it a little more exposure than dropping it at midnight. But either way, just really awesome of him to do. And he's not a Jamar Chase or a Shamar Stewart that are signing these major deals, and you see those guys go out and buy their parents a house or a car, something like that. He's 5th round pick, still on that rookie deal. He's not making a ton of money. It's just a really cool gesture for him to do that for his mom.
Yeah. I mean, you do see this kind of stuff. I mean, it's an obvious, but Tycen is such a good dude.
Yeah.
Their family has been through so much, and there's just such a good heart. And you see that in the locker room, like the way people respond to him. And he's just such a popular player within his teammates, with coaches, so much respect for him and his game. It's because of stuff like this, because that's the kind of guy he is. Like, it's a focus of his life. Like, buy the house for mom and dad, have that moment, right? Have everybody there, celebrate it. And good on Tycen. I always love seeing that type of stuff. Because the struggle that they've been through and how much it matters. You see it on the faces of mom and dad there, how much that means to them. So great stuff there. On a much lighter note for my Arby's, Jay, it's happening. The movement is happening. Stool Team 6 is happening. The stool growth is happening. These Amazon stools, which, you know what, we took some heat for last year. People like to give us a hard time. Oh, you can't come out here and stand. Oh, you don't want to stand. There it is. 4, and then Pat Brennan said, all right, I give in. Give me the link. He's got one coming. There's more. It's just good to see that everyone's coming around and understanding the usefulness, the pride you can have in your stools, and that we've got a whole stool team coming together. Kelsey Conway, Laurel Failer, all of us in a line there looking. Everybody is talking about it now. Taking over Bengals training camp. I want everyone to have stools. Skinny refuses. There he is sitting in front of us in the grass like a 6-year-old refusing to live the stool life. Don't be afraid, people. Don't be afraid. Shout out to Phil Diddy from the Inquirer for taking that photo for us.
Yeah, I mean, why are you weaker for sitting on a stool? If you're sitting down, you're sitting down. So it doesn't matter. I think it's just smarter to have a stool. And the first time I saw him was at a concert in Daytona, and it was so that parents could let their kids stand on them, and the kids would be eye level with the other adults around and not be able to see the stage. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, that is perfect for training camp. So yeah, this is year 2 with the stool, and maybe. I don't know. They have a weight limit of 250, and I think I'd probably pass that. I haven't stepped on a scale in a while, but I was tempted to grab mine and stand on it yesterday when we couldn't see anything at practice in the bubble.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have helped or not, but they are multifunctional, and I think anybody that goes to concerts or games and has kids should get one. They're adjustable too, so it goes all the way up to 3 feet tall.
Which is where I feel like we should have a hierarchy. Okay, those who were the first to adopt the stools should be able to sit the highest, and then it goes down 2 ticks for every person that was the next to get one, and we can go down tallest to smallest, like parents do with their kids when they line them up for a photo. I think there should be a hierarchy there. I'd love to see that. All right, that's what we're hoping for. All right, everybody. Certainly appreciate everybody for taking it in. Please make sure you check us out. All of our daily recaps that we have going on up on the YouTube page. Get the alerts on those. Of course, they're in the regular podcast feed as well. Great to have Josh from Camargo Insurance as our judge and jury of the run, pass, or boot on board. Those will be on all the PD&Js as we go forward. Make sure you send your RPB submissions to Josh at CamargoInsurance.com, and we'll be answering those each week. And get those Bengals Ravens tickets coming your way. So all of that has been a ton of fun today. Recaps back tomorrow. 2 more days in pads on Wednesday and Thursday, off Friday, and then night stadium practice on Saturday coming your way. So keep it all locked in for then. We'll have you covered. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a good one.